Well, it is the 1st of February. The transfer window just ended, and that's because late last night I got into a groove of, hey, just one more day. Hey, just one more game. And the next thing I knew, I had already played the FA Cup game. I almost fell asleep during it. It was that boring. And then realized it was also like 4:30 in the morning. So I walked away and came back, and now here we are. We last played... Was it Man City, Southampton? No, it was Liverpool, Man City, because we absolutely got stomped. And we didn't even score in the Liverpool game. It was a Virgil van Dijk own goal that gave us the goal. So against Southampton, we lost 2-1. Mateta had a goal, but the guys just were not performing well enough. I mean, we had some really nice performances, but for whatever reason, it wasn't enough to see us through. Against Norwich, we beat them 1-0 thanks to an 87th minute James MacArthur goal. We drew against Newcastle. This was actually a pretty fun game to watch. A lot of back and forth. And then, they clawed the drawback with a 90th minute goal. I thought we had this one, and I started celebrating too early. Against Ipswich in the FA Cup third round, this was a bit of a snoozer. Yeah, there were some really good ratings from the guys. I didn't see any of them, though, because there was like maybe 5 highlights the entire game. We lost to Brentford 3-2. This was kind of a punch in the gut. They're bottom of the table. I thought we really had a chance, and we just cannot put it together. Mateta had a really good game. Edward missed a penalty kick that was just frustrating, and we threw it away. We played down to our opponent's level, and they beat us. Against Watford, we beat them 2-1. Gallagher a goal. Will Hughes a goal. And this was a very solid performance. Benteke had to start because... the other guys were not match fit, and I'm trying to really watch out for that. Mateta had a 6-3 that was just kind of, And then against Wolves, we drew with them 1-1. Edwards scored in the 74th minute. Jimenez clawed the drawback with a goal in the 85th minute on a penalty kick. The transfer window just ended, so we're going to play Arsenal, and then we're going to play Leicester in the FA Cup 4th round. We were busy. Not as busy as we could have been, and some of that was because... I did get a couple of players. We've got $2.3 million left in the bank, and we've got a little bit of wiggle room with the payroll budget as well, about $200,000. So that could have gone up or down. I did a lot of scouting. I did more than a few trials. I just didn't find anybody who was going to make the team appreciably better. Now, the guys I did find are going to help the team this season, and they're going to help the team next couple of seasons as well. So if you count the Mateta fees and everything like that, we spent $74 million this year. But the first person we brought in was Jamie Sione, who from Huesca. He is a defensive midfielder and midfielder, 3.5-star current ability, 4-star potential ability, 25 years old. He is, for all intents and purposes, at the moment, Milivojevic's replacement. Solid physically, the jumping reach is a little bit on the low side, but then again, he is a 5'9" midfielder. I'm not expecting him to be in the scrum. Mentally and technically, he's very good across the board. He doesn't excel at any one area, but he's not bad either. So I got him playing deep lying playmaker and box to box. I'm switching him back and forth there. I inquired about getting Conor Gallagher back on loan next season. They said no. Chelsea said no. On a whim, I said, hey, what would it take to get Conor Gallagher? And they said 38 million euros, or 38 million pounds rather. And I was like, Conor, I like you, but I don't 38 million pounds like you. Marcus Frakanis comes to us from America. My scout in America found him. He was at the LA Galaxy youth squad, their B squad, their academy. That's the word I'm looking for. Their academy. I took a flyer on him. He's here on a free. He's 1.5-star current ability, 3.5-star potential ability, 18 years old. Getting him a work permit is going to be a little troubling. But, you have to be in England 5 years to get English nationality, or you have to play a certain amount of games in a certain amount of times. International appearances also help. He's not good enough to make international appearances. He didn't qualify for any work permits at any level. But I brought him on because he's a free, and because I think he has interesting potential. Physically, he's not bad. This is FM being FM here. His balance literally went from 11.4 to 11.3. So, oh my God, he's falling down. And same thing with these ones over here. They're falling by tenths of a point. So, he's solid. He's got some room for improvement. I think in 3-4 years, he could definitely be a player who will get some playing time for us. And if not, I know I can move him on for some money. I have no problem signing youngsters and having them play the non-competitive games, or just sitting on the bench and possibly loaning them out. I tried loaning him out, but he couldn't. None of the foreign teams wanted him, and he didn't qualify for a work permit at any of the lower levels. Tariq Fosu from Brentford was the last player we brought in, a jack of all trades, master of none, 1.3 million euros. He's going to be primarily a backup at the wings, but he's also a very capable striker. His physicals are interesting. He has good acceleration and good pace, decent agility. Not the highest strength nor the highest stamina, but they're adequate. Mentally, he's pretty solid across the board. The 13 work rate is nice. The 15 flair is nice. The concentration, anticipation, bravery, composure, those are all adequate. Technically, he's not bad. 14 dribbling, 12 finishing, 11 first touch, 11 passing, 12 penalty taking, 13 technique. So he's here as a fringe player, but he'll definitely see a decent amount of playing time. He'll be on the bench every game, and I guarantee you he'll probably get at least probably 5 or 6 starts with the rotation we're going to have to keep going just to keep guys healthy. So, and that's it for the ins. On the outs, got to scroll down quite a bit. Martin Kelly left to Preston for €69,000. Basiliano Riano Sokolice went to Dulwich Hamlet. That's one of our affiliates on a loan. Joe Whitworth went to Birmingham for $71,000. Joel Ward went to Gardens for $47,000. Victor Akinwale went to Sheffield United for $78,000. Malik Cadigan went to Portsmouth for $8,000. Jeffrey Schlepp decided he wanted more playing time and wanted to go out on loan, so he ended up at Ferencváros. Jackson Izquierdo went to Gillingham for $19.25, and Reece Hannum ended up at Mansfield on loan for a $1,600 fee. Thought we had one more going out. Future transfers, Francisco is the other player I found. He is a midfielder on the Real Madrid B squad. Now they're saying he's a D, but I'm looking at him as a 17-year-old, 1-star current ability, possibly 2-star current ability, 4-star potential ability player who's been capped at the under 19 level for Spain. Physically, he has some room to improve. Mentally, this isn't bad for 18, especially at the midfield. And technically, he's got 14 first touch, 15 passing, 14 technique already. That, he can only improve on that, or he can only top out at that. And if he tops out at that, that still makes him as good as some of the guys I have on my squad already. Now, the issue with him is going to be the work permit. I think because he played a decent amount of time, and it's not showing because he was on the B squad. I think if we go back, it's not going to have the B squad ratings, or the B squad statistics on there rather. And I don't know if that's a glitch in the game or if they just don't keep it. But if we can't get him a work permit, I know I can turn around and loan him back out. Mateta's coming in next season. Ollie Weber is going to York United for €30,000. J-Rich Bagelu is going to Valor for $13,000. Jamie Taylor, Nathaniel Klein, and Luke Dreyer all left on freeze. This one I kind of went back and forth on. Adler Nascimento was the youth player that the previous group brought in from Peterborough for £500,000. Pounds. He has potential. I'll be the first to admit that. He's got 1-star current ability, 5-star potential ability. He's improving, but he's 17 years old. He would need a decent amount of playing time, first team playing time, to really improve, and he's not going to get that there. I was looking at loaning him out to another team next season, but sitting down and looking at it, I have 3, maybe 4 years to develop him into the 5-star player, and that would be getting him first team playing time here, and that's just not going to happen. I thought about holding on to him, but then other clubs started making offers for him, and when the Sporting offer came in, he jumped all over it, and I'm one of those coaches who, if a player really wants to move and the money's right, I'll let the player move. I'm not spiteful. At the same time, if a player, in regards to, if I'm not spiteful like that, I'm spiteful in other ways towards my players. I'll totally admit that. So that's just the way it goes. So we've got Arsenal coming up there in 3rd place. Leicester is our 4th round cup matchup. After this ends here, we'll take a look at the league table. These are the players I have out on loan. If we sort by appearances, Luke Dreyer's had the most. Everybody's pretty happy. The only one who's unhappy is Nia Kirby, and that's because he's not getting the playing time he wanted, but at the same time, he also didn't go there on a starter contract. But he really wanted to go out on loan, and he got mad the first couple times I turned down loans because they weren't guaranteeing him regular starting time, and then a squad offer for Sunderland came along, and he wanted to go there, and now he's unhappy. So you know what, Nia, that's kind of all on you. Who's my top target recommendation? Amin Harit. A 24-year-old attacking midfielder. Kareem Konate is going to Angers. He's interesting. He is part of the under 21 international list I created, and I did take a look at him. I thought about bringing him in, but at the same time, he's 17 years old. He's not a starter for his national squad. If I did bring him in from Mimosas, he wouldn't have qualified for a work permit. Gallagher, team of the week. Gallagher came in third for player of the month. Goal of the month, Gallagher's goal was third of the month. I looked at potential keepers. I looked at a couple more midfielders. I looked probably at about 70, 75 players overall. A couple of them were close. I made a couple offers for others that they turned down. We lost out to some really good teams for a couple of players. Other players wanted too much money to come here. Other players didn't want to come here because they didn't respect our stature, which part of me kind of understands, but at the same time, it's like we're a Premier League club in London. England's the number one nation in the world. It doesn't really get higher than that, I think. I mean, you could argue League One or La Liga, but at the same time, you know, well, okay, you can't argue with us from a stature point of view when comparing us to, like, Bayern and Real and Barca and maybe some of the bigger squads in Italy like Inter and Milan. But, you know, I have a hard time accepting that someone's going to go to Parma over Crystal Palace. But that's just me and my own internal biases. So, anyhow, we've got a 450,000 player database. I'm sure there's diamonds in the rough out there that we can find and bring to the squad, and they will be contributors. At the same time, I mentioned this at the beginning of the save. We're an older squad. Now, we've started cycling through some of our older players. Almost all the players that left were either youth players who were never going to feature for Crystal Palace or would need a bit of luck and a long shot to play for Crystal Palace. The one exception of that being Adler Nascimento. Or they were older players nearing the end of their contract anyways. And I have a couple of players going out, like Nathaniel Klein just signed a contract with PSV to join them. He's 30 years old. You know what? We can take a look at it here. We'll go back here. If we sort by when the contracts expire, it's a lot. Literally, from Danny Imre on up, those are players whose contract expires in June of this year. So you're talking MacArthur, Benteke, Klein is leaving, Weber's leaving, David Boateng, Jake Gilding, Malachi Boateng are all youngsters I probably won't keep back. Kamani Gordon, he is on loan. That's when his loan ends. But if it doesn't, I'll bring him back, if only for depth on the under-28 threes and the 18s. Jerich Bagulu is leaving. He's joining Valor. So, it goes down even further. Jordan Ayew, Ryan Bartley, Kane Jobson, C. Lewis Brown, Joe Ling, Fimuni, Oldabi, Sheridan, Vigor, and Mengi, who's my lone player. So essentially, pretty much half my squad numbers, but a lot of them are youngsters on the under-19s and the under-23s, and the others are older guys who I was going to look at moving on anyways. One of the things I'm intending to do as we go forward after the Arsenal and Leicester game is to do some scouting for players whose contracts are expiring in June. Maybe we can get the jump on a couple and convince them to come to us. The other thing I am kind of waiting on is next season's transfer budget is guaranteed $12.89 million. If our payroll budget remains the same, we can tweak that up a little bit. And there's value to be found out there. For us, Sayoni was value. Tariq Fusu was value. Yeah, he's 2.5-star current ability, 2.5-star potential ability, but he's one of those guys who gets the most out of his 2.5 stars. He knows what he is, he knows what he can do, and he doesn't try and play outside of that all that often. He can every once in a while, but I know what I'm getting when I put him on the field, and that's what I'm looking for. Fosu is essentially a placeholder. He's a backup, and he knows that. You know, when I've got Eze, Edouard, Olise, and Hughes here, plus Ayew can also play right midfielder, but I suspect he might be leaving as well. It's a year of transition. Next year is going to be a year of transition too, but the transition's not going to be as great. Currently, we are in 10th place on 32 points, and I am quite happy with this. Liverpool leads everybody with 58. United is 2 points behind them. Leicester, Brighton, and Watford are in the drop. Wolves and Everton are close as well. Then there's a bit of a gap between Everton and Burnley. So I think if we perform the way we have been performing, despite the fact we have a -2 goal differential, finishing mid-table is definitely a very possible thing. I believe, knock on wood, we are no longer in a relegation battle. Or a relegation battle. For some reason, this keeps resetting. I'm not sure why. So Mateta has 21 goals, a 7.49 rating. Hughes and Mateta each have 9 assists. Anderson's still our best passer. Mateta, 6 players of the match awards. Luka Milivojevic, 13 yellow cards. There's a reason he's coming off the bench now. And one of the reasons I went after Seone. I don't know what it is. I started noticing this in like FM18. No matter which team I go to, and no matter which tactic I employ there, we're always top 3 in fouls and yellow cards. I had a couple seasons at Bastia where, like, we broke records where, the team in second place had like 87 total cards, and we're up in first with 140 something. It was absolutely, I don't know what's going on. I mean, I rarely touch anything tactics wise. Once I make the tactic, I'll go in every once in a while and set a player instruction for the game. But like, we don't tackle harder. We don't dive into tackles. I barely even mark tightly. We press, but we don't press all that often. So it's just, I don't know. It's FM being FM. Maybe one of these seasons I'll get on a squad and we'll end the season with like, less than 40 cards. That would be very, very nice, but I'm not betting on it. So what does the assistant coach say? Mateta, Edward, Hughes, and Eze. Is Elise healthy? Not fully. I'm going to bring on Sessegnon for Klein at the right back position. No, we're going to bring on Ferguson. Ferguson is my young defensive right back who had potential until he started the season on the injured reserve with a torn Achilles. Guiada's going to be in goal. Mitchell, Mengi, Anderson, and Ferguson, the defensive back four. Seone and Milivojevic are the midfielders. Where is Conor Gallagher? Reasonably sure he's not injured. Carter's injured. Gallagher, suspended. Too many yellow cards. Imagine that. Eze and Hughes is the attacking midfielders, Mateta and Edward up top as the strikers. Ferguson on the throw-in. Milivojevic back to Ferguson. Gets it back out to Milivojevic. He crosses it. Hughes is there, takes the shot, puts it upper left corner for the goal, his 8th of the season. That was well done. He moved the ball really well. Got into a spot where it was almost, I'm not going to say impossible for him to miss, but he just did a really good job of controlling the ball. Odegaard sends it in, and they get it right back. A Gabriel header, literally a minute later. Just when you think you might be turning the corner, they go and do something like that. Nice effort by Gabriel. I am going to look at a backup / replacement for Guiada in the summertime. My experience with playing with Guiada over the years is one of two things. He's older now, but in the keeper, I don't think that matters as much. He's a great keeper for 2, maybe 3 years, and then he starts his decline. Or he's a great keeper for a year, then he falls off a cliff. So you kind of have to be prepared for either Seone. Oh, was he fouled? He scored anyways. Oh, they're calling it a Tomiyasu own goal. Because he tackled Seone and forced the ball in. Milivojevic to Edward. Edward gives it to Seone. Mateta holds it up. Back to Milivojevic. Gives it to Seone. And the Arsenal keeper comes in and scores. I suspect if that ball hadn't gone in, the ref would have blown the whistle. Guiada, very nice stop off the header. Rolls out to Anderson. Hughes tries heading it down, ends up at Xhaka's feet instead. Thomas feeds Aubameyang. And he puts it past Guiada for the goal. We are all square. It's a Desmond 2-2 at the 17th minute of the match. It's poor ball handling by Edward. Aubameyang. Back to Tierney, to Odegaard, Xhaka. Oh, good gracious. What a shot. Holy cow, that was nice. Tierney just taps over to Xhaka, or to Odegaard, who taps it back to Xhaka. That was... I don't know, I feel Guiada should have gotten a little more on that. It could be just me, though. I mean, all things considered, we're doing well. We just need to do better. Odegaard, up to Gabi, back to Thomas, back to Gabriel, Xhaka out to Aubameyang. He feeds Odegaard. Odegaard, Gabi's there. I spoke too soon. What was that cross? He had three of my guys around him, and at least one in the path of the ball. Mengi could have done a little more. That's just annoying. And in the rain, we are down 2 goals. Arsenal takes a 4-2 lead. Guiada taps it to Anderson. Anderson up to Milivojevic. Over to Ferguson. Ferguson up to Hughes. Hughes up into space for Mateta, but White stepped in front of it. Gabriel with the ball now. Over to Tierney. Tierney back to Gabriel. Gabriel all the way back to Ramsdale. Up to White. Xhaka. Thomas to White. They're just playing. They're waiting for their opening. Maitland-Niles gives it to Tomiyasu. Almost dispossessed. Maitland-Niles gets it back, though. Crosses it in. Aubameyang's there, and he scores. Wow. We're going to make a couple of changes. I really don't want to see that highlight again. We're going to bring Tompkins on for Mengi. We're going to get Elise on for Hughes. And I forgot to bring my other midfielder and put him on the bench. So Milivojevic stays. Yellow card and all. Xhaka from distance. And Guiada, very nice save. Smith Rowe. Martinelli. Guiada, again another nice save. Long kick. Maitland-Niles ends up with it. Xhaka to Aubameyang. He holds it up, gets it back to Xhaka. To Tierney. Martinelli, and Guiada makes a very nice save again. Aubameyang gets the ball to Martinelli, and he rounds the keeper. Holy cow. This is not how we wanted to come out of the transfer window at all. And they got a 7th. Jiminy. No, that's us. What the heck am I thinking? That's Anderson. Elise sends it in. Anderson's there. He gets his first goal of the season. We're only 3 goals down with 10 minutes left. We can do this. Martinelli to Gabriel. Wakanga all the way over to Aubameyang. Back to Tierney. Tierney to Xhaka. Xhaka to Aubameyang. Martinelli's there, and he gets the 7th goal for Arsenal. Yikes. 10 goals in the game. That is... That's what that is. It's just a deep sigh. Yeah, he's definitely on sides. Elise sends it in, knocked away. Mitchell, dispossessed by Smith Rowe, gets it back. Tompkins, over to Ferguson. Ferguson to Anderson. Anderson to Elise. Elise up into space for Mateta, but he can't get there. He's fast, but he's not quick. Headed down. Seone to Milivojevic. Up to Elise. Eze, can he get there? He can. Stops it from going out of bounds. Gets it to Mitchell. Mitchell to Eze. Eze to Mitchell. One taps to Seone. Milivojevic. Top of the box. Ramsdale, a very nice save. That was an excellent shot by Milivojevic. Elise curls it in. Anderson's there. Tompkins gets it, and we get a fourth. Wow, 11 goals. That is insane. Unless I'm offsides. No. Well done, James Tompkins. Elise off the short corner. Milivojevic. Oh, he tries sending it in, but it's knocked away. Anderson's going to run it down. Can we get a fifth? Milivojevic. Over to Ferguson. Long pass. Ball goes right to Mateta, though, after the missed header. Or not to Mateta, to Ramsdale after the missed header. Ramsdale bombs it forward. Aubameyang's there, driving up the left side. Holds it up. Hits Kearney in stride. Kearney gets it to Zaka. To Smith Rowe to Aubameyang, and he's fouled. And Ferguson's going to get sent off on a double yellow. And Aubameyang scores their 8th. Ferguson didn't get sent off. He probably should have been. Yeah, Guiada guessed right, but he didn't guess far enough. Eze. Seone gets the ball to Elise. Back to Seone, and he hits it wide right. Aubameyang has a hat trick this game. Mitchell on the throw-in. Seone gets the ball to Eze, and Eze hits the post. Edouard sends it in. Elise is there, and Ramsdale, a very nice stop. Holy cow, that was well done. You can see why Arsenal paid so much money for him. Elise ends up with the ball to Edouard. Back to Elise. Last chance to score. Gets the ball in, and I'm not quite sure what happened. It looked like somebody went up in the air, but we got thumped. Holy cow, did we get thumped. And of course, now we got Leicester City in 3 days. I'm going to save the game here, and then we'll come back with our FA Cup 4th round match against Leicester in just a bit. Well, it's definitely a little bit of a rotated side. We got in goal. Sessegnon, Mengi, Ferguson, and Klein are my starting back 4. Gallagher and Milivojevic are in the midfield. Elise and Hughes are the attacking midfielders. Ayew and Edouard are up top as the strikers. And even then, Ferguson is probably not the best choice for there. I'm going to start Tompkins there instead. Schmeichel. Out towards Barnes. Vardy ends up with it. He cuts left, centers it, and it bounces back and forth. The defenders make a couple of nice stops. Vardy gets it again and skies it into the crowd. Tompkins. Out to Klein. Klein to Milivojevic. Milivojevic tries getting to Gallagher. Gallagher stood in place. Tielemans was there. Vardy ends up with the ball. Makes a nice shot. Guiada, very nice block. Leicester resets. Ricardo driving forward. Crosses in. Vardy's there. Easy goal. Tell James Tompkins to mark Jamie Vardy. That's a losing proposition. Even if they're both about the same age, Vardy's still the better athlete. I suspect the back 4 is going to look just a little different. I like Guehi and Anderson. Sessegnon has promise. So does Mitchell, but we need some depth there. Schmeichel. Headed down. Madison ends up with it. Fofana back to Soyuncu. Madison all the way back to Schmeichel. Bombs it forward again. Klein's there. Klein bombs it forward himself. Don't know what the heck is going on. We got a bunch of Route 1 here. Vardy back and forth. Gets it to Barnes. Clichy Iheanacho hits it. Hits the crossbar. And after a couple of odd bounces, finally rolls out of bounds. That was fortuitous. Klein on the throw-in. Hughes to Edward. Back to Hughes. He cuts it right. Gets it back to Milivojevic. Feeds Hughes again. Hughes has tried crossing it. It was knocked away by Leicester. Iheanacho to Vardy. Back to Madison. Over to Castagne. Barnes to Vardy. Madison. Vardy at the corner of the box. Back out to Madison. Tielemans. Ricardo all alone on the right. Finally closed down. He crosses it in, and it's another easy goal for Clichy Iheanacho. Gets his revenge for that header that bounced off the crossbar 4 times before finally falling out of bounds. I don't know what the heck Tompkins was thinking with that move there. Ball's bombed forward. Castagne is going to run it down. Schmeichel's going to wisely stay in the box. Barnes crosses midfield, cutting right. Gives it to Vardy, got behind the defenders, and Guiada, very nice save. Not that I think the ball was going in if he hadn't saved it, but still. Madison. Corner kick in. Guiada made 1 save, but he wasn't there to block Vardy's second chance. And right before the half, too, that's a dagger in the heart. Guiada did well to stop the first one, but yeah, I don't know. That is halftime. 21 shots, 11 on target for Leicester, 3 and 2 for us. And the squad was demotivated by my halftime speech. Klein on the throw-in. Hughes to Milivojevic, Gallagher. Ayew up for release. Luis gets it to Gallagher. Gallagher to Sessegnon. Sessegnon feeds Edouard. Hughes is there, and we get one back. That was nice. A solid effort by us, moving the ball around. Maybe not extraordinarily well, but well enough. Finding the space. Gallagher. Sessegnon. Edward. Edward wisely gives it to Hughes instead of trying to make something out of nothing, which is what he had. Sessegnon on throw-in. Ayew loses the ball. Milivojevic somehow gets it back. Elise is there, and we get one back. 2 quick back-to-back goals. Was he offsides? Oh, he was awarded. Okay, I think I've seen more VAR reviews given positive results than I have over, in terms of goals being scored and things like that. I think I've seen more of those the first half of this series than I have all of last series combined in FM21. I'm going to get Edward off and bring Mateta on. We're going to get Hughes off and bring Fosu on. Sessegnon to Ayew. Ayew to Elise. Back to Sessegnon. Gallagher. Milivojevic. Back to Gallagher. Milivojevic. Out to Klein. Klein gives the ball away. Soyuncu gets it up to Vardy. Centers it to Iheanacho. Gets by Mengi. Takes the shot off the post. Holy cow, do we dodge a bullet there. Guiada, very nice save. Rolls it out to Tompkins. Milivojevic, Tompkins, up into space, headed down. Mateta couldn't get to it. Instead, Vardy got behind the defender, and he puts the game out of reach. A hat trick for Vardy. That is some not very good games. 11 shots, 8 on target for us. 34 and 15 for Leicester. Guiata on a 7-7. He had some very nice saves. Man, I wanted to see if we can get a little further. Granted, our path here was maybe a bit easier than most, but Leicester's a beatable squad. Man, what a couple of annoying results. Losing 8-4 to Arsenal is just... We got some tough games coming up too. United, West Ham. I think we'll come back for Brighton and Chelsea. Get the Derby game on a live comm, and then end the season at Southampton and start prepping for next season. We're going to start looking at players whose contracts are expiring at the end of June. Save the game here. And while that's being saved, yeah, that was just a couple of horrible performances. I mean, from a goal-scoring perspective, they were both fun to watch. I mean, you had, what, 6 and 12, 18 goals in 2 matches? That's either a good thing or a bad thing, depending on what sport you're playing. And in this case, it's a bad thing. That Arsenal game is just going to leave a foul taste in my mouth for probably the rest of the series. We're going to get our revenge on them one of these days. However, this season is not that season. The Leicester game, I really thought we could have gone farther, but what was the board expecting? They wanted us to reach the 5th round. We were knocked out in the 4th. And we had a good opportunity. And Leicester is in the drop zone with Brighton. I mean, they're not the best team per se, but they were just better than us on that day. It doesn't help that we only had a 2-day break in between. So, not the funnest games to watch from a results point of view, but from a watching point of view, they weren't bad. A lot of goals being scored, some really nice ball movement, some really nice shots. There's one thing that's apparent is that the new match engine is better than last year's match engine. Last year's match engine was better than 20. So as long as they keep making improvements like that and fixing the bugs that are still in the system, then we'll be good to go. So we're going to call this here. If you did like what you've seen and heard, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel for more content, questions, criticisms, comments. Leave those down below. I will answer those as fast as I can. My name is FM22. I thank you for watching.